Hello everyone, my name is Aryan Maurya and I am going to talk about the Macau Grand Prix event, which is held annually in Macau. So let's get started. Macau is an autonomous region on the south coast of China, across the Pearl River Delta from Hong Kong. It was Portuguese territory until 1999, so it reflects a mixture of cultural influences. It is famous for its giant casinos and malls, and it has earned the nickname of Las Vegas of Asia. Macau Grand Prix or Gia Race is also known as Grande Premio de Macau in Portuguese. It is a type of motorsport road race that is held annually in Macau, and it is the only street circuit racing event in which both cars and motorcycles participate. It takes place at the Gear Street Circuit on the Macau Peninsula, located in the Pearl River Delta. The main highlight of the race is the Macau Formula 3 Grand Prix, featuring many national Formula 3 champions and drivers from around the world. Its track is also known as Guia Circuit and Circuito da Guia in Portuguese. The circuit itself is over 6.2 kilometers long and total of 5 turns and contains 30 meters of elevation changes throughout a lap. The circuit more or less is completely untouched. Only safety and paddock upgrades have been done since it was first held in 1950s. It is recognized as one of the most challenging circuits in the world. Many of the circuit's most identifying features have been etched into history, as just about every section of this track has its own name and infamy. And there are some parts in this track where you are literally not allowed to overtake just because it's that narrow. So let's talk about some of the most infamous turns and part of the Macau Grand Prix circuit. The Lisboa bend is the most famous thrill point as it offers the only possible overtaking opportunity at the end of the main straight. It is also famous for the significant reduction in track width. The MELCO hairpin is one of the tightest corners in the world, which narrows down to just 7 meters in total, which gives the racers a very hard time to pass through it. There are many more infamous turns in this track, such as San Francisco Hill, Maternity Blend, Solitude SS, Fisherman's Bend, R Bend, Mandarin Oriental Blend, and Speed Trap. If you're wondering how to watch the Macau Grand Prix event, then let me tell you that the Macau Grand Prix is live streamed on their official website, which is www.fia.com. Now, let's talk about its history. There have been a lots of changes and add-ons in the rules and modalities of Macau Grand Prix. Let's talk about them. In 1954, the first Macau Grand Prix event was held as a treasure hunt around the streets of the city. But shortly after, it was suggested that the track could host a professional racing event for local motor enthusiasts. In 1957, 7 meters wide racing production cars began to be used in this event. In 1961, it adopted the open wheeled cars, that is, the Formula Libra category. The racing continued as a non professional race until 1966. The Belgian driver Mauro Bianchi entered the race with an Alpine A220. He was racing this car for Alpine themselves. Alpine Renaults sent the engineers to assist Bianchi in the technical specifications of the car. Bianchi's victory brought a lot more professional race teams enter the Grand Prix. In 1967, the motorcycle race was introduced, and in that year, the first fatal tragedy double struck the race when Macau Grand Prix champion Arsenal Laurel was killed when he almost lost control on his bike. This raised the alarm for more security improvements for racing safety on the streets. The first Kia race for touring cars was introduced in 1972. Later, in 2015, this category was replaced by the TCR International Series. 1976, the Macau Motorcycle Grand Prix was introduced. Since till 1983, Formula Pacific was becoming obsolete, so it was decided by the organizers that the race would be held as a Formula 3 event. Initially, they wanted to run a Formula 2 race around the track, but as they were unwilling to make any large circuit modifications, which included cutting down trees, then organizers decided to adopt Formula 3 cars for the feature race, and it was sanctioned by FIA as the Formula 3 World Cup title race. In 2008, a GT3 race was added to the event, which became known as the FIA GT World Cup. Just like the other motor racing events, there have been hundreds of crashes in its long history, and a total of 18 deaths and accidents at the circuit, including 9 motorcyclists, 5 car drivers, 1 spectator, 1 official, and 1 bystander have been killed in this event. Asian businessman Teddy Yip played an important role in making the Macau Grand Prix known to the world back in the 70s. He also started a new trend of hosting a Macau Grand Prix party at his house for the drivers, which became a quite big thing in the Macau. Since its inception, the Macau Grand Prix incorporated a mixture of different racing machinery, from sports cars to various different formula regulations. But from 2019, the car that will be used will be the same for all, that is, Dallara F3, because Grand Prix will act as a non-championship of the FIA Formula 3 Championship held in Europe. The Lara F3 has a powerful Mecachrome V634 engine of 380 horsepower and it weighs around 600 kilograms. Global pandemic also affected this event. Since 2022, Macau Grand Prix got cancelled due to the COVID pandemic because of the Chinese international travel restrictions.